dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Are you here? Who's here? Wait a minute. Oh, 1 minute. You know, I have to do manual feed on Fake Book. Thank you for joining. Give me a minute to change the setting. It's so goofy. I have to change it from they've set it to private. So now, okay, it's good now. Welcome everyone. Let me know if you can hear. Can you hear me? How is it going? Circle back time. Hey Mish, what's up, Mish? What's up? We're about to circle back. You ready to circle back? I almost circled too far back, okay? I didn't realize 2020, I was merging 2021 and 2020 into my presentation. I went a little too cuckoo back into 2021. My goodness, 2021 and 2022, they were like twins, right? Twins in a way, right? Hey Juan, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for circling back with me. Jamie, you're here, I see, to circle back. Welcome on Facebook if you are joining there. Sean is here. Hey Sean, what's up? We're about to circle back. Molly. Hey Molly. All this atmosphere and welcome. Yeah, we're about to do this circle back. Just, a little circling back. We might do more circling back. Christine, hello. Anne, how you doing, Anne? What's up? Darkitect is here. Darkitect is on time for class. Welcome, Darkitect. Are we gonna circle back? Are you ready to circle back? Do you want to circle back? I mean, we don't have to do this, okay? We can go another way, okay? It's always flexible. Kathy, good morning. Well, thank you. Nancy, hello. And Joseph is here. Welcome, Joseph. How are you? I found a favorite t-shirt today, Joseph, from a Irish pub out in, where was that? Orange County, California, a pub. And I had their t-shirt. So I hadn't seen it. I thought I lost it forever, but I found it today. I don't know if you'd be interested in knowing that. I don't know. I know you're probably sick of everybody always making references to everything has to always be Irish, right? All the time. Are you sick of it, Joseph? I'll cool it. I'm always putting shamrocks as emojis for Joseph. He's probably like, oh, is this all we are is shamrocks and pubs? We're so much more, right, Joseph? Greetings, though. Mopping the floor. Nice. Oh, look at that. We're getting things done. I'm glad you can listen. I can be your background noise while you're getting some chores done, or maybe at work as some of you tune in from work. Yes. So let's see. It is 2022, about to get up out of here. 1 minute. I was outside and I had put another layer on. I had to go get some of my rich soil. And I just needed a little bit. I've talked to you all about how I prepared soil for a few years. It's very rich right now. I did the Back to Eden permaculture. I don't know where Shayna is, but when Shayna comes in, she's very big into permaculture. So I permacultured a really big area, and I did it. It has to be about going on 6-7 years now. So it's super rich. And I just needed a little bit because I'm starting to bring more greenery inside. And I had more bulbs and they were in water. So I put a really shallow amount of really rich permacultured soil, that red Georgia clay, you know about it. If you know, right, Corinne? Hey, Corinne, what do you think about soil? Do you all like to play in soil? Were you those kind of people like growing up? I always made mud pies, mud cakes in my grandmother's backyard in West Philadelphia. I wasn't born there, but I was raised in West Philadelphia. But My grandmother had all these pots that she would let me play with. She was like the best grandma, I'm telling you. She just let me be a kid. I could put tents all around her living room until her stories came on. I had like a window of time to be just everywhere with my tents. And then hey, my stories are about to come on. We got to pull the tents up. So it was fun. But I would be outside making mud pies and cakes. And I would, of course, being the Libra child, I would have flowers from her. She had magnolia trees. Did you know that in West Philly? We had magnolia trees. Yes. So she had beautiful magnolias, and she also had hyacinth or no, wait. She had, oh, why am I forgetting those beautiful blue? You know what they're called? Blue. They grow in bushes. They're purple sometimes, blue, pink. What are they called, everyone? That she had those in the front, just all in the front. And then the back, she had that too. And just a lot of beautiful things growing. So when the magnolia flowers would fall, they were mine, and I would decorate my mud cakes. So, when we think about this whole thing that we're about to really embark on, I hope you come along with me to learn about the natural laws, to get into natural law. And when I think about natural law, it takes us back to fundamental things, very fundamental, down to earth, right? And it is a natural way of thinking. We've gotten away from it because we were lured, we were lured away by the Pied Piper, tried to lure us into their great reset so we could fall for the okey doke and become artificial fake. But when I'm learning this stuff, it's starting to really make sense. And I'm excited to share it because it makes sense. Let's see, Jilly. Wow, I have a Jilly in my family. I grew up with a cousin named Jill. So it was always Jill and Jennifer. She was older than me, so her name had to go first, of course. But Jilly from Philly, right? It's kind of like Jill Scott. They call her Jilly from Philly. But Jill Scott, my Jilly, is older than you, okay? So you came along later, Jill Scott. So Jill Irving trumps you in age. So she's the real Jilly from Philly. Yes, so what are you saying? I'm pretending to work. Not with it this week. Are you quiet? What is it called? Quiet quitting? We won't say anything, Jilly, but thanks for, just look really busy, okay? I knew how to do that, when I would work the corporate. I was working at pharmaceuticals, I did the big pharma for 10 years. I was inside the headquarters. So I was in the information center, what did they call it? The medical information center. It was staffed with nurses and pharmacists, and we were on the headsets, the leashes, and we were just answering questions, reading scripts. Yeah. So sometimes you do other things, like some people were running businesses while they were at work. You know what I'm talking about, real estate agents. I know you guys are double dipping, but I am not a hater. If you can double dip like that, I am like applauding you, okay? You're doing real estate and you're working a corporate job. I don't know. I just knew people doing other things, okay? Sometimes maybe I'd be doing something else too, I'm just saying. Maybe like creating an invitation for my daughter's whatever birthday party. I was always doing over the top birthday parties. So I might be designing her invitations, and pretending, you could do a few things at one time. I'm just saying. Hey, Corinne, if I missed you, Paint Dance Live is here. Hey there, welcome. Yes. You said good morning from Northern California. That's right. We're going to holla back, right? Circle back, but we're not no holla backs, right? So yes, Joseph says, I got an Irish jumper present. Really? Love it? An Irish jumper? You got to tell me about that. Hey, Sean. Sean, what did you say? Jennifer's ambiance. Hey, I don't know. It's junky and cluttered, but I'm going to make sense out of it. I'm just organizing because I want to really get into these studies. So I have to be organized. And yeah, I put a little, I don't know, what is this? I found this, okay? I used to buy lots of paper products and I just said, why not make it a little festive? Pineapples. Who doesn't love a pineapple, right? I love that meme when it said, wear a crown like a pineapple. Pineapples, I love, 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 okay? I would love to grow them. I might be able to because I'm in zone 5. I'm reporting from zone 5. If anybody is an agriculturalist in the house, let me know. And let me double check. Am I in zone 5? Because I don't want to give out misinformation. Let me double check and fact check myself, okay? Big Boo, blessings. Hey, let's give Big Boo a nice big welcome, Big Boo. I love the name, okay? It's a fabulous name, Big Boo. You got to hang out with us more. Hydrangeas, that's what it is, Jilly. Yes, hydrangeas. So my grandmother had these hydrangeas all in the front, and hers would give off the beautiful blue, like a, what is it called? That blue. It's like, and then she would have violet, kind of violet, and then pink. She had lots of them. So I had lots of things to decorate. You made mud pies, and you're my kind of people, and right? You understand. And my grandmother gave me designated pans to play with. So they stayed outside. 420 while Dragon is here. Hello. I'm about to drag one of your Canadian brethren, okay? I'm sorry, 420 while Dragon. It just made me think. I'm about to drag one of yours, that doctor. I'm going to tell you about it another time. I talked about it the other day, but I have been marinating on my letter. I now know where to send it because I contacted the hospital and they're very concerned with my feedback. You know how you can call it. That's from being in corporate America. Who's in corporate America or has been in corporate America where you learn how to use language? You learn how to use weaponized language. When they say, I'm about to give you some feedback, that means, let's see if my resume is updated because I'm about to give feedback. You don't want to give feedback on a Friday, right? Friday feedback in the afternoon. You all know what that is, right? We would watch many people come and go that way, right? I hung on for 10 years in corporate America. So that either shows that I'm really cuckoo or I'm able to really be a chameleon, right? Whatever. But 10 years in corporate America, in big pharma at that. Can you imagine? Sean says Jen has fertile soil. I love the way that sounds. Fertile soil. See, we're going to be getting into discussions that are going to bring all of that together. It's so exciting, okay? Wait, I want to fact check myself to see what zone I'm in. So bear with me if anybody knows. I'm in South Georgia near the Florida border. What zone is that agriculturally? I'm guessing it's 5. Okay, wait. Okay, South Georgia. See, I should know this stuff. I'm embarrassed, but at least I'm willing to look it up, right? Growing zone. Do I call it that? Yesterday, you guys, I went to a cannabis shop that had CBD and everything in Georgia. Georgia's really getting with it, everyone. I learned so much. This place was like huge, okay? Really amazing. I didn't even know it was in this area. My goodness. And they were just so like willing to teach. The guy that owns it, he looked like, like Rick Rubin. You guys know who Rick Rubin is with the super beard. He was like bearded, like the beard was out of this world, amazing. But his people that worked there, they were so knowledgeable. And I'm just learning a lot because I had to go get something for, the family member that has stage 4 cancer. So we're doing like one of the doctors in Atlanta when we did the second opinion, he was like, I would do cannabis, and I was really impressed. Like, this is a doctor, as Paul Romano like reminds us, allopathic doctor who's talking about cannabis. But it was just very good to learn that people are waking up to it, and it's a great part of someone's healing regimen. And inflammation, everybody, that is the thing that is very big problem in a lot of things that ail people, right? Angela Tompkins. Oh my gosh. Everyone, I want you to please give Angela Tompkins a really warm welcome. This is an angel on the earth right here, Angela. I love you, Angela. Thank you for hanging out and jumping into the chatmosphere. I love you. I miss you. I got to catch up with you. I've been such a hermit, right? I've been like an online hermit. But this woman right here is, when I say an angel, I mean it. I mean it. Angela says hydrangeas grow like weeds and oh, that's right, because she's from Washington. Oh my gosh, I can imagine Washington State. Oh boy, Ange, I would love to visit, like really visit Washington State. I was in Seattle just at your SeaTac airport, but I really want to see Washington. Oh my goodness. I hear it's like God's country, in terms of growing apples and all that. Interesting. I just got an idea, but okay, I won't share it. I'm going to stay on topic somewhat. Georgia is zone 9? Is this saying 9A and 8B? 6A? Oh, I'm way off. I don't know why I thought 5. Hey, DT girl, Merry Christmas. Thanks for hanging out. Nikki. Hey, Nikki, welcome. You ready to circle back, Nikki? Well, to circle back. Let's see. Anybody knew what zone this is? Hey, Flower Girl Apothecary, do you know what zone I'm in? I guess I'm in. No, that's the coastal part of Georgia. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I guess it's right here. I could have looked at the. Oh, here it is, y'all. 8A. Wait. Hold it. I have to blow this up a little. Hold it. Kind of. Oh, yeah. 8A. I'm in 8A. Growing zone. So let me just do a cross reference. I want to see, can you grow pineapples in 8A? In zone 8A. If anybody knows, put it in the, if Dana's here, Dana knows. Dana is knowledgeable, beyond knowledgeable. Okay, preferred climate for pineapples would be zone 10 and 11. Dang. Okay, you can grow maybe a sort of pineapple. We'll see. But yeah, pineapples, that was a long way to go back to the pineapples hanging. Okay, who else? You love pineapples. Sean said zone 420. That's what it's becoming, Sean, apparently. Hey, Juan, you tried, failed miserably. Oh, hey, Big Pontiac is here. I love it. Greetings, power people. Greetings, power Pontiac brother, good brother. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out to circle back. Yeah, if you all know what zones you're in, it's good to know, right? Molly, thank you for the super chat. Oh, I love you. No Emerson, just Professor Jen. I love it, Molly. How you doing today? What's going on? Okay, so let's see. You were in corporate. Okay, Christine was 28 years working for corporate law firms. Oh, yeah. So you know that language. That's right. CBD helped you with pain. Yes, very good. Empress 13, hey there. How's it going? Let's see. I have to refresh here. I'm gonna get to seeing who's here. Empress 13, welcome. How you doing? It seems like it's been a while. Let me know, but let's welcome Empress 13. Herschel Sanders is here. How you doing? Smoky. Where's Prime? I don't know. Where is Prime? Does anybody know? Hey Prime, I don't know where you are, but hi. I haven't seen Prime in a while. Haven't talked to him in a minute. But yeah, I would love to know how he's doing too. Batteraf. How you doing, Batteraf? Hi and happy holidays. Thanks for hanging out. If I didn't say your name right, please. North Carolina has the best apples. Now that's new. I didn't realize. I know upstate New York has really good apples, but yeah, it's good to know. Thank you for that. Somewhere in Time. Now, this is a new name. Thank you and welcome. Let's give some love to Somewhere in Time. Hi, Jen, just popping in. Looking. Oh, you're AKA Looking. That's why. Okay, Looking. How you doing? It's been a while. That's right. Pop in and out as you can. I know it wasn't planned. It's just a little impromptu. Hey, Michelle, welcome. Let's give a nice welcome to Michelle. Michelle, my belle. Yes, and avocados. I love it. A good avocado. I could eat an avocado one a day. I really, really, really could. Hey, Susan, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Jilly says, I think Prime was on Charlie Ward recently. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. That is good. Oh, it's a Dutch name. Hello, Batteraf. Did I say it right? That's good. It's a Dutch name. All right. I guess we practice a little bit knowing English, right? We can say a few little things that might be close to Dutch pronunciations. So, okay, in the circling back, I want to just share with you. I looked back at my Instagool, as our good friend Paul says, Instagool. It's just, Paul has coined the best terms, I swear. If you listen to Paul Romano, I have a little clip that I will be pulling that I think Paul, he distills truth in, it's a very unique way. He's not for everybody. I get it, because he gets a lot of comments, and he will embarrass you if you come in his comment section. Warning to the wise. If you try to come at him, he has a clapback that is like, it is vicious, okay? Because he will just mock the people that come into his comments. He will read their comment like in another, stream, and he will just have a blast, and it's really funny. I'm sorry. I love Paul. I've been listening to Paul for a long time, okay? Give me a minute, 1 minute. I'm still with you, okay? Thank you. Thank you for being patient. Hey, the Lizzie, you're back with us. Hey, the Lizzie. Good morning, the Lizzie. It's raining in Arizona, is it? Wow, yeah, I know the weather is pretty frightful. No, it's not. It's delightful. No, I don't know. It's delightful here, but I'm not trying to brag. Empress is saying vitamin B17 extract from apricot seeds. Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, send that to me. Seeds are very important. I have like some seeds here, some lemon seeds that came from lemon trees here in Georgia. So they're good. Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to share my screen and just talk about 2022. I just wanted to just share a few things and some commentary, and just see what you might be saying about some of the events. I mean, it's not a comprehensive by any means retrospective, but it was just something that I notated that, oh, okay, so this stuff that happened is let's see, let me put myself here. Whoa, Jeff Trayer. Jeff Trills. Please, everybody, give a warm welcome to Jeff Trills. Jeff Trills and I go back a while. Remember, I told you all that I wanted to learn blogging, and I was hanging with a group of people. I learned so much in terms of social media, like in terms of YouTube, even though Jeff, I lost my original YouTube page. He was the one that he said, Jennifer, I cannot believe you didn't monetize that video. Everybody, I knew nothing about monetizing videos and stuff, but Jeff got on me about that when my video went it went crazy. Remember, Jeff, when I did that rant about forced flu vaccines? So I didn't know, everybody. Remember that thing would go crazy like it did? And even Robert F. Kennedy Jr. contacted me because of that video. But Jeff was like, Jennifer, why didn't you didn't monetize that? I didn't know anything about it though. But Jeff is like, let me tell you, Jeff is the man. Maybe one day, Jeff, you might want to be a guest on a live stream and let's just chat. Because it would be you talk about circling back already. Look at this blessing. I've had Angela Tompkins jump on a live stream. So she's in the chatmosphere. And Jeff, this is amazing, Jeff. I really want you to, Jeff, be a guest. That would be so fabulous, okay? But yeah, Jeff helped me to learn a lot about speaking in front of a camera and getting comfortable. I told you all we got those yeah, he says, yes, you're going to love Jeff. Oh my God, Jeff. Okay, I can't wait to make that happen, okay? So I'll hit you up and we're going to definitely get that scheduled, okay? But Jeff was one of those people that, you know how they say it's iron sharpening iron. I met the most amazing people in this. We were in a blogging platform, and it was a group of people. A lot of them were far ahead in their knowledge of, online funnels and all that stuff. I haven't learned a lot of things, but I learned enough to, enter into this new world where I wasn't left behind, just because of my age or something. I always want to learn and never fear new knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Technology, things like that. So Jeff was just very knowledgeable, very comfortable in front of a camera and things like that. So I learned from people like him, so many amazing people. And I see that we're all still connected. You guys haven't unfriended me. No, I'm only kidding. But they're very open to knowledge. They're not closed-minded at all by any stretch. So anyway, going into what happened last year as we're ending this year out, I looked over, like I said, Instagram only because of the way it's organized. I could look at it easier going back. And I went back too far initially. I was looking at 2021, like I told you. So I said, okay, too far back. So 2022 for me, I was going through a lot of censorship issues. And I ended up creating another channel because I had a channel taken away from me that was around for at least, right, Jeff? It had to be 10 years or more. And I just used it for practice, or I uploaded travel videos and things like that. But I didn't do anything like this. It was actually Prime Minister in 2020 when I was working in New York City. He invited people to come and become digital, citizen journalists, getting another narrative out, combating what we were seeing in terms of only one side having the microphone, right? So he invited more voices. So I figured I already had a YouTube channel. Why not use what I had? And that's how I began to develop different content. And I learned from Prime and a lot of you all here. I learned from you and I just applied the knowledge. So I had started a few other channels and I actually lost probably 3 channels on YouTube because I was talking about my experience in being in New York City in 2020, working as a nurse on the front lines. As I was sharing my lived experience, I was being censored to the point that one day, without warning, my channel was taken away and other channels were taken away. So I started this particular channel that I'm locked out of currently. And this channel lasted through 2022. So I just looked back on it and it's interesting the progression and where a lot of us are at the moment. So I want to go over starting with negrescence. I'll just start there. Negrescence is a word that it captured my imagination. You all know, right? We had a lot of fun saying negrescence. Go ahead. You could type it. Go ahead and type it. Ain't nobody gonna get mad at you. You're in my chatmosphere, okay? You can say negrescence. Don't be scared. If you want to type it and just live a little, right? Just type negrescence. Live on the edge, okay? Jen allows you to say negrescence in her chatmosphere. I'm not going to go ree. So yes, so negrescence, okay? That word, it came to me when I was going over history. And look at that. We got negrescence. I know Sean was going to be first. Sean said negrescence. That's right. That's right. Joseph, negrescence. That's right. Molly, negrescence. And you know what? Let me tell you. Oh, you like Chatmosphere? Yeah, Jeff. I don't know. You know, I make up crazy names. So Chatmosphere, it just kind of caught on. That's right. Okay. Paint, dance, live. She had to go negrescence. For saying it 3 times, you're going to be blessed the most today, okay? I pronounce a blessing times 3 for you. So, yes, negrescence. That's right, Jeff. Doesn't it feel good, negrescence? It's something about the word. I love it, okay? And this is the thing about negrescence. Like I said, I came across the word as I was studying history. And the thing that's amazing is that here we have Joseph over in Ireland, and he turned me on to looking into the 1800s. So I looked into the 1800s and whoa, it took me out. The things that I started realizing in terms of history, the 1800s became, like I said, a person of interest is what I will say, the 1800s. And so what was it? We were talking about the technology. Yes. Okay. That's, if you all remember, we started using words, right? We were just throwing around these words a lot. So one of them was antiquitech. And I was interested in antiquitech and free energy because we realized that a lot of this stuff is a circle back technology. They have suppressed the technology from us. And it's really unfortunate because we've been so suppressed as a people. And electric cars, for instance, we learned that it's nothing new. Sorry, Elon. I'm sure Elon knows that he is not the one that created the electric car. Now, we won't get into who created it. I know a lot of us would go to Tesla, the actual man, Nikola Tesla, but I am not going to pin my, flag that Tesla was the originator of the electric car. But they had electric cars And if you go back and do research, you'll be shocked if you've never gone back to look at the electric cars from the 1800s. And they had kits that you could buy, lots of kits and things like that. And it wasn't a big deal. So people could just put them together. They had, charging stations in their garages. I mean, it was amazing. So we had electrical energy, free energy, and all these big houses. You have to think about, how did they heat these homes? Well, we've learned a lot from going back into the history and learning that they had this technology, like these plates that they would have at the, maybe where you would think of a chimney. But you all know about those plates that you fill me in, everybody, all my science people. Those special plates that would give off an ambient temperature throughout these huge mansions. And it was a very effective way to heat. And we know that it's a lot of different ways. We have solar energy and things like that. So yes, steam engine cars. That's right, PH Joy. How you doing? Steam engine cars, a big thing too. Yeah. Hey, Sentinel. Welcome, Sentinel. Thank you for joining. Always nice to see you here. You are checking in from Spain, right? Let me know if I'm correct. Spain, right, Sentinel? But I love it when you check in. Hey, Mitzi, what's up, Mitzi? Glad you caught it live too. Very nice. So I won't get into the details so much about the technology of heating those big homes, but negrescence was something that I looked into, and it deals with, like, what did I say? I'm continuing to unpack it from a technology point of view. And I said transmission, Morse code, and incandescent. Yes, from Spain. Okay, I'm right. Sentinel is joining from Spain. Let's give Sentinel a nice, warm welcome. Doing fine, PH Joy said. Been quiet. Nice. It was very quiet. Very, very quiet. Yes, the rains from Spain on the plains, right? The guru. Wow. The guru. Let's give the guru some love. Brother, the guru, welcome. He's here hanging out in the chat atmosphere. This is like the band is really getting back together again. Look at this. Okay, so this has something to do with the antiquitech that we had when you think about the 1800s. And I'll get into why I believe we're coming into a renaissance and why I believe it. So another thing that happened, I went back into older films, and you all came with me, and we looked at one film called Imitation of Life. And if you've seen that movie, Imitation of Life, let me know, because we looked at it from, a standpoint of history and where did the concept of passing. So passing became a thing, and a lot of us have family members that pass for you. You all know what I mean when I say passing. That means passing for white. So white is a social construct, and people have been clumped into colors. We've talked about this, and we have debunked a lot of these racial constructs. We've decoded them and unpacked them. So this movie in particular deals with a sensitive area where you have a mixed race woman who has a very melanated mother, and the mother is more in the servant class, and the daughter becomes like, she has moved into a different realm, and she doesn't show her mother any love. It's a really, sad movie. I have my theories on why they did this, but it definitely has caused like a trope, like a meme, and people bring this up a lot, so not to get too deep into that, but it was just interesting that I found that it was a book written in the 1800s. So that's what I mean. It's like this thread that runs through the 1800s, and propaganda and things like that was it was programming and conditioning us to have a lot of racial trauma and just a mindset in a certain way. So this movie triggers people when they watch it. I've heard of this movie my whole life, just about, because it was an old movie, two versions, right? Phyllis, okay, yep, you know about it. I saw the 1937 version and the 1959 version. Yeah. So the book, I believe, was written, I think, you know what? I'd have to go back because I did videos about that a while ago. But yeah, they did have two versions. And so anyway, it's a heartbreaking movie. The one thing that I caught, to put my tinfoil turban on, is that when the mother dies in it's one of the versions, you can see her procession, her funeral procession, because that's all she talked about, is she wanted to have a funeral like, like a rich woman, like not really a rich woman, but like a white woman. Okay, like she wanted to be honored in a way that supposedly white people are honored for their funerals. So she had a procession that was like horse and drawn carriage, really dramatic. And it went through Harlem, and you could see that she was a member. Well, she says in the movie that she was a member of many lodges. So that caught my attention, where I wouldn't have caught that before. She said something about several lodges she had become a member of, because she did end up, right, didn't she make a lot of money? Yeah, okay, right, she was successful. It's like the Aunt Jemima story. Okay, so the pancake empire that she and the white woman built together, and it was from her recipe. So it's the Aunt Jemima kind of like whatever. So anyway, she mentioned that, which I found interesting. So yeah, it brings to mind the whole beginning of what they call the Black Boule, and that is the skull and bones for Black people. So we've talked about the Black Boule, and we have a sort of reference here in this movie. So I'm just highlighting that I caught that, and it was very interesting. So then let's see. Oh, the next movie that was something from what we were looking at, a retrospective in 2022, is we looked at film noir. And film noir is like an older form of early Hollywood. Not to get into it, but there were mystery plays. And these mystery plays base a lot on this one out of Germany called Metropolis. And this Metropolis it was from, let's see, this was actually on New Year's Eve. I did this retrospect, Unraveling the Mystery Plays Metropolis. So it's a science fiction seminal work, and we discussed it. It was real creepy, very long movie, I think 3 hours, but I did it for you all. I watched it, and it was, silent movie and very weird. I heard about it, and I've seen just clips of it, but it was really telling in terms of the agenda of transhumanism. And again, dealing with robots, which is a big circle back for us, because we see this agenda maturing to now we have Elon Musk that's going to have like Tesla robots supposedly that'll do your chores around the house. So this aspect of robots became a thing. And, just to kind of give you something current, which was interesting and why I created this thumbnail, is that Beyonce, she, for one of the award shows, she came out in the Metropolis robot kind of thing. And the woman in the movie Metropolis, she is, I guess they take her essence or whatever and transfer it over to this robot, but it's done with a pentagram in the back. If you recall the movie, it had a lot of occultic overtones. It was very strange, a lot of Egyptian, Babylonian stuff. So you see, I have the Babylonian tower in the background. So the Tower of Babel became something that I circle back to with you all as well. Just looking at what does this really mean, the Tower of Babel? And going back to Metropolis, it was a silent movie, right? And I talked about ultimate transhuman dystopian future. But thank Yahweh, thank God, it will not be happening, I believe, okay? And we'll talk about that, in a bit. But I said the Tower of Babel and Babylon are desperate. They had desperate failed attempts, I said, of the fallen cherub and his co-workers to get to the top. And all that toiling has been for naught, vanity, and shame. I said the wizards and warlocks had top hats and magic rabbits, but the fifth wall of illusion is broken. We see the sleight of hand and the hidden hand, and the tricks are on them. The veils are transparent to reveal an utter big top circus as the world is mocking and ridiculing the falling of Babylon. So I believe that Babylon's fall in our time is turning into such a parody of itself that you don't know the difference. The lines are blurry between parody and reality, because the times that we're living in are being described as clown world. And this is because the fall of Babylon this is part of it. When people get away from truth, it becomes a clown show. And this is what we're looking at. So the fall of Babylon. And then I was looking at a little bit further in, I became very interested in architecture with you all. So we were looking at architecture, and as I looked at architecture and the history in the 1800s, the Queen of England became a very big player. So we have, that monarch in England, which usurped true monarchy, and they came in and basically set up shop for how long? So we had a monarchy run by a queen. And I know you all might be in this chatmosphere telling me that she was a man. Y'all can go ahead and tell me she's a man. I just go at it. I don't know the whatever. I don't know the pronouns. So anyway, we got into the mud flood Tartarian sort of research journey. And that began, to me, it sparked a curiosity to finally read the book of Enoch. So that was interesting for me because I've spent time in Ethiopia and I love traveling to Ethiopia. So this was interesting to finally get out of the fear and conditioning from growing up in the church and hearing that I should never read books of the Bible that aren't canonical, canoned or whatever. Tell me if I'm saying it right. If they're not in the canon and haven't been approved by the Holy Roman Empire. So I went ahead and broke from the plantation and I went ahead and read the Book of Enoch. So if you're new to this channel, if you want to go back, if you want to hear the Book of Enoch, I read it all. And it's in, I don't know how many parts, but I found the Book of Enoch to be very, very interesting to read. It really gave me another perspective of the angelic realm, which is Michael and his army, right? And many of the other angels, but I love the archangels, right? Like Michael, and just learning about all of them, like Gabriel and right, some of the ones we don't hear about often. So that was very good to finally get over, like I said, break out of that conditioning. So the Great Awakening for me took me over to the kingdom, the empire of Kush. And I have lots of theories about Kush, Ethiopia, as some call Abyssinia. That was something that the English called Ethiopians. They call Ethiopia Abyssinia and Abyssinians, but I don't go with that. So one day I want to get into a discussion about the throne when we talk about Solomon and King David, and we got into some discussions, and I have my theories about Emperor Haile Selassie and the lineage. Right now, I don't believe that Haile Selassie, now I know I might lose a lot of friends over this, but I don't like Haile Selassie. I'll just say this without getting into too much. I changed my position on Haile Selassie. And I've talked to friends over in Ethiopia that have talked to me about Haile Selassie. I won't get into it, like I said, but I've changed my position. I'm more open to learning more about it, but I've not done a really deep dive into it. One thing I do know is that there was an orphan that was kidnapped by Queen Victoria. So I have a big issue with that. And as you know, I've been very curious about what really happened. Back in the 1800s, Queen Victoria sent an expedition over to, as they call, Abyssinia, but Ethiopia. So the king, the emperor, he was killed on the battlefield, I believe, but they tried to say it was suicide. Kind of familiar, same stuff, right? They do this a lot. They frame things as a suicide, and it's not. So this is another example, but it's in the 1800s, and it deals with the emperor of Ethiopia. So he was suicided, and his son was taken, his wife was taken, and son to England. And the wife either died on the way or shortly after arriving in England. So after that, the prince, he is now an orphan. And the story goes that Queen Victoria adopted him. I know that sounds all kinds of wrong, which it is. There's a lot of shenanigans in this narrative, but she adopted him, and he lived to be maybe 19 or 20, and he died mysteriously. So there's a lot going on that I want to know about when it comes to that fake monarchy in England. Yeah, I did say it. Okay. The fake monarchy, King Chucky, you're not a king. You are a fraud and a Nazi, because we saw you doing the Heil Hitler, you or your mother, whatever, when she was younger. We saw her do the Heil Hitler salute. So we know what y'all are about. Okay, it's girl code. Let me take this while we're girl code sissy. I'm on a live. Can I put you on speaker if you want? I how you doing? You want how you doing? Can you hear me? I'm well. I'm doing a circle back from 2022. We're just doing a live stream. Yeah, yeah. Just circling back. I wanted to look over 2022. All right. All right. I'll see you. Okay. Talk to you later. Okay. She's going to join us in the chatmosphere. Girl code about to be in the chatmosphere. So, I want to find out what was really going on, okay? Because it's a lot there. So, after that, finding out that there is something going on with the lineage and the throne of Ethiopia, of the kingdom of Cush, and that lineage seems to have been interrupted. And okay, that's all I'll say. I'm not going to get into a fight with anybody today. But anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll do the research. So, what was interesting then is to get into the architecture. The architecture took us in a deep place because it got into a lot of like architecture around the world and who actually built these structures. So the narrative for who built it just really fell apart. Nothing made sense. When we started going into the Wikipedia narratives, one thing that we realized is they use words like founded. Oh, this building was founded by so and so, and they give all these names of these architects and gardeners and then when you look at these guys and their background, they also wrote novels and traveled and did expeditions. And it made no sense. They were inventors. They did everything. So now that I'm really catching a lot of just knowledge from listening to a lot of people, and I bring up Kev Gillespie because he has been the only person that has distilled this what happened to America in a way that I totally understand it. I see the crime. I totally see it now because of listening to Kev and how he has investigative, like you talk about investigative journalism, like it's been amazing. So when I started looking into the architecture, I thought about even my travels to, what they call the Middle East. I guess you would say Egypt is really Africa. I don't know. Africa is an incorporation, but we'll just play along for now. Just the, architecture that we have a lot of romanticism about. And then it was interesting to learn about King Cyrus the Great, and the whole thing about the cylinders. So the mud flood journey took us into the Persian Empire. So we're looking at King Cyrus, and he was a benevolent king. And this is what I wrote. I'll just say, I said next stop on the mud flood world realm journey was the first Persian Empire and King Cyrus the Great, a benevolent king. It says created a centralized administration of governance and respected all people's customs and beliefs. And his most beloved action was said to have been to proclaim freedom to all the people of the Babylonian captivity and the right of return to their homeland. So that's repatriation. I said going back to daddy, and through the edict of restoration. And that's going to be a lot of what we talk about going forward is restoration. So the Edict of Restoration, I believe, is going to be something we circle back to when we look at the law. And the law of restoration, that's something that Kev talks about a lot, the law of restoration. So just, jot these things down because they're going to be really important for us to connect. So the Edict of Restoration, and all of this was imprinted on clay or mud, hence why we talked mud floods all the time. So they called it the Cyrus Cylinder, and it was buried at the foundation of buildings, and it provided the most powerful receipt that, in terms of historical narratives. So it also was the foundation, they say, for a lot of our documents. So that was interesting because the Magna Carta comes into play. And, a lot of us, we've been jumping back and forth through the timeline, and Girl Code, our good sister, she's been doing a lot of breakdowns of people like, say, Beyonce, and how that all, that's right, press one, that's right, Kev Gills, that brother he's really doing it's a big job because he's breaking spells off of the minds of people, and it's just amazing. So Girl Code has done a lot of deep dives into, say, Beyonce and Jay-Z. There are a lot of people that have been breaking down Jay-Z and people like that. But there was a sort of a weird connection with when I was learning the Magna Carta, and also what was going on with the coding of having music content, and they were, kind of playing around with the whole aspect of the Magna Carta. We know that these people, they troll us and, things like that. So that was interesting. And going into coins, I was interested in learning about coinage and what that means in like kind of where we are today. We have all these digital coins, and coins have been a thing that we've been talking about for a while, ever since these digital Bitcoins and things like that. And we'll be talking about the current issue with coins and digital currency. So coins are something that are tangible, and with coins, you can have a legacy and a really powerful receipt. So the coins are going to be interesting moving forward, because as a free people, we have to decide on the currency that we want to have, to trade. And that's something that should be in the hands of the people, the power, back to the people, back to the states. And I've done some research on older currencies from the 1800s and maybe 1700s. And it was interesting to see all of the various state currencies. Have you ever looked at, or do you have any old currency from, say, Texas or the Carolinas? And yeah, lots of interesting currency. So that was a part of this 2022 journey. So I kind of had fun, tongue in cheek. Some people got mad at me for naming it the Invisible Remedial College, but I felt for me that I was in a remedial research journey and relearning and unlearning things and being open to realize that I've been lied to about so many things, and history has just been one big lie. So I named it the Remedial Invisible College. So we did mud floods, we did antediluvian civilization. If anybody wants to know, if you're kind of new to this stuff, antediluvian means before the flood of Noah. So we were doing Antediluvian Civilization 101 and Book of Enoch 101. And we passed and graduated, right, everybody? So we did a group project, the timeline. We traveled to the Tartarian Empire worldwide, and the only thing you needed to have were your mud boots, okay? So that was part of the journey. And then we had just lots of things like even artwork. I'll bring this back up because it kind of ties into when we were talking about the imitation of life. So there's something that is very prevalent in South America called blanqueamiento. And blanqueamiento is based in the belief that there is a curse on the tribe of Ham. Now, we had a lot of discussion explode when Kyrie Irving was being just chased and tormented for sharing a link on his own personal social media. And it blew up into this big thing that has grown legs. And I don't know where the status of it is now, but the issue of Israel, not as a land, but as a people, has been on the table and discussed. Okay. So now it comes down to who are the various tribes. Not that it's so important to like separate people, but it is important that everybody knows their identity, especially if identity has been hidden and just erased and things like that. Okay, so this was a very critical conversation to come onto the main porch. Okay, so this is now porch conversation. So this aspect of the curse of Ham, this was something that is now, my Mormon friends, don't get mad at me, but this is true. You can look at your history. A lot of the Mormon teaching was that the black people were cursed, and the cursed tribe of Ham and all this other stuff. So this blanqueamiento practice is kind of couched and rooted in this aspect of the curse of Ham. And we know that Ham was the son that he looked upon his father Noah's nakedness. And there's a lot to get into and decode. What was that really mean? What does that mean? And what really happened to Ham? And that's the whole thing. So I say the curse of Ham was a scam perpetrated by the secret handshake societies to justify genocide and plunder, warring with the darkies. And it explains the phenomena of blanqueamiento. This is racial hypergamy through lightening the family. In other words, the redemption of Ham and reversing the curse. So we can throw this mind manipulation and racial construct into the 1800s with Charles Darwin and John Beddoe. So I said, I do declare the 1800s are beginning to seem like one big reality mystery play script, and worse than the Kardashian scripting. So this is a painting that you see that is called The Redemption of Ham by Modesto Brocos in 1895, depicting a black grandmother, mulatta daughter, white father, and quadroon child. 3 generations of racial hypergamy through whitening. So this is a thing that is believed also throughout the Caribbean as well. I have a friend who, her mother is Haitian, and she believes and practices blanqueamiento in her family. So she and I've heard her say this. Okay, we were sitting at breakfast, and my friend said, "You won't believe what my mom believes." And she said, "Tell her." And she believes that the Bible, when it says lightening our darkness, she takes that very concretely to mean that you're supposed to lighten your dark color. So, okay, I just want to say I'm reporting this, okay, as the messenger. But it is a practice, and you will see it in like Brazil, and other countries in South America. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. Don't leave me hanging like I'm making this up, right? Blanqueamiento. So it plays into a lot of understanding of what we are kind of dealing with, when we deal with this racial construct, and all of these like social racial constructs. So it got into like I spent some time in South America, right? We dealt with it was an interesting mix to see even Tupac come into play, because Tupac being named after let's see, Tupac is named after, where is it? Does anybody know? I wrote it in my thing. All right. Hold it a minute. Tupac Amaru. Okay, so he's named after one of the let's see if I wrote it here. An Inca king. All right. So Peruvian. And it became an interesting thing when I looked at the Peruvian king there, and some of the things that I learned about the family drama and how the, power transferred, and the Jesuits come into play. So we see the Catholic Church, the Holy See, coming into these areas and taking land, genociding people, and basically Machiavellian warfare. So I spent some time down there for a while in South America. Then we came up through Gang. Now this was interesting because tinfoil turban time. We look at Canada. So currently, I am about to write a letter to a Canadian doctor that was so offensive because he wanted to talk about politics and history, but when he found out that I had a different point of view, he went into like a conniption. And it was really unfortunate because now I'm going to have to write a really powerful letter about his behavior. And I'm hoping he will go back home to Canada. So anyway, Canada comes into play. And hey, DeWolf, hey, welcome, DeWolf. If I've missed you in the chatmosphere, please forgive me. I'm kind of in a mental now. Okay, so thank you, DeWolf. So I did not realize the history of Canada. Some people have shared some of the history. If you remember, I did an interview with a really lovely young lady named Bailey. And I may circle back to Bailey, but Bailey had a really interesting thing happen during 2020. And so it was on my old channel that was taken away. But Bailey taught a lot about Canadian history. And the queen, I almost said the King of England. The Queen of England, talk about children disappearing. So Queen Victoria, and I'm just calling that Victoria's Secret, something funny, some shenanigans with the Ethiopian prince being orphaned and she adopting him, and then he dies young. So we also have her granddaughter, the one that just died, Queen Elizabeth, the third or second, I don't even care, but whatever. I know I saw pictures of her doing the Heil Hitler. So that woman, Queen Elizabeth, then there was some very strange things that went on with what they call the Native or First Nations children up in Canada, where the Queen made a trip, at least one that I recall, that wasn't official and on the books. So came to Canada, and they had these First Nations children in these orphanages. And a lot of them disappeared during her visit. And yeah, it's a big story if you ever want to look into it. But Canada, much like America, was usurped by criminals and a criminal cartel, families, and a lot of us see some strange things with Trudeau. Yeah, Trudeau likes to be in blackface. Yes, 1 minute, everybody. I'm still with you. Josephine does her thing where she likes to run in and out and do her little thing. So I'm still with you. Okay, so Trudeau is an interesting character. So I did some research into Trudeau, and I know a lot of you all believe that he is Castro's son. Yeah, we have fun with that. But aside from even that, yes, and thank you. It's the Kamloops. If anybody needs to look into that, there is the name of the orphanage and the children that disappeared during her visit. And so going back to Canada and how Canada became a nation and the leadership through the years and some of the stuff that has come out. So there was a lot of overlap with the crime cartels that we had here in America. And I'm just going to say, everybody, come on, let's just be real. We had the Jewish mafia, the Irish mafia, the Italian mafia, and basically all those names, about Bugsy and this one and the other. So they were running brothels up in Canada, running just the same kind of stuff. They were doing during the prohibition and the liquor and stuff like that. So Canada and the families that run Canada are steeped in crime. So then we get over to, we're looking at sort of Russia, and Ukraine and some of those lands over there. So there were some interesting things that came up, if you recall. And I even did I did a video about Trudeau's mother and Maggie Trudeau, right? Did anybody see that? I was shocked. Maggie Trudeau, okay? Whoa. That one right there. She was shaking a tail feather in Studio 54. Yeah, bootlegging. That's right. Bootlegging, Seagram's. If you know about Seagram's, the liquor family, Seagram's and everything, and a lot of the connections with those families that started Seagram's. They were also very involved in Hollywood, everyone. So don't get fooled thinking Hollywood is just here. Canada, in fact, I think Toronto, Canada, which is Ontario, they have a big stake in Hollywood productions. So that has been a big thing. So media, liquor, brothels, and you also have the family, and they're friends with Trudeau. They went to boarding school with Trudeau. They're called the Bronfmans. Remember the Bronfmans? We talked about the Bronfmans. So the Bronfmans are a big Canadian family. And we have like I said, lots of wealth. They're considered Canadian royalty, and their narrative of success is built on organized crime. The family's vast wealth was squandered, however, on poor decisions, curses, and the NXIVM multi-level marketing sex cult. I did say that. The NXIVM multi-level marketing sex cult. Now, this all overlaps with Epstein Island. So yes, get all of your tinfoil out, okay? Pull all the tinfoil out. That's right. Anne knows. Nexium. So when we started doing our research, which really offends people, the doctor that I had the dust up with, he actually spewed venom and said, "Oh, you research." And they see that as a bad thing. You're not supposed to research. You're only supposed to get your news and information from trusted authoritarian sources, and they will tell you who your authorities are. You got to love it, right? These people are absolutely like authoritarian. I mean, they're monsters, right? Santa Monica, you're here. Hey, Santa Monica Loco, welcome. Love to see you join. Hi, Jennifer. We had those flower bushes. You did too in LA? Oh, nice. Yes. Oh, such beautiful things grow in LA. I have lots of family in LA, and I just always love their gardens and just beauty, beauty, beauty. It's a great growing zone for sure, right? And you guys grow the best kush out there too, right? We know about that. Yeah, Cali. If we, I pray that California will be free one day soon, very soon, because it is a beautiful part of this nation. So anyway, back to the Bronfmans and the connections to the things that we were hearing, like, oh, it's all conspiracy. Oh, shut up, you Q-tards and whatever, QAnons. And so they threw that out there till now it doesn't mean anything. It's like saying you're a racist now. It's like, yep, I'm a racist. Like I said, Josephina's a racist. We're all racist, whatever. And we're phobic of everything, right? Whatever. So it doesn't stop the fact that there is a big circling back. So if you were down those rabbit holes back in 2020, 2016, some of you, or even 2001, okay, September 11th, it made me think about, I want to reference somebody that I started listening to, Mark Dice, right? Was Mark Dice with Jason Burmis? Because that was like an early wake up for me. Is Jason Burmis did Loose Change. Who was back in the tinfoil days of Jason Burmis and Loose Change, which was a documentary about 9/11 that was a complete red pill documentary. It was powerful. Who remembers Loose Change? A lot of us came through the same similar kind of time frames, right? 2001, DeWolf says, woke a lot of people up. Yes, indeed, it did. I woke up and then I hit the snooze a few times, right? So it's okay if you hit the snooze button. A lot of us did, but we're back awake again, right? It's hard to go snoozing again. So let's see. DeWolf says, I know some of the crew of Loose Change. Great guys. Oh, awesome. Okay, help me remember. Was Mark Dice part of the Loose Change group? Let me know, because I listened to Mark Dice, and there was something I wanted to share that I listened to something he did today. Hey, Emily, you remember Loose Change? Yes. PH Joy says, I hit the snooze a few times. Yeah, raising a child, definitely you hit the snooze. So back to Canada, or Canadistan. So we see Trudeau was set up as a World Economic Forum sweetheart. Klaus Schwab loves Trudeau. And Trudeau was bred for his job. It's very clear to see. If you look back at my video about his mother, Maggie, it reads like sort of like The Omen or The Bad Seed or one of those kind of movies, right? Like Rosemary's Baby or something. Yeah, it's my opinion, okay? I'm just sharing my opinion. It gave me Rosemary Baby kind of vibes. How about you? So, you have Maggie and the whole story with Maggie. Whatever. I'm not going to get into Maggie right here, but you have the creepy stuff that we learned about even aside from the Nexium sex cult, which was a multi-level marketing. Can you imagine they made that into a multi-level marketing? Oh my gosh, right? It was horrible. So you had people recruiting women and things into this system of learning. It, long story, but there's even an influencer. She was one of those influencers on Instagram, and she's in the Bronfman family. She's a mixed race, very, very popular. Hannah. She's the one in this picture that has a Fauci shirt on. But it's just, it's easy to see how all of this overlaps with the global problem that we have and that we learned about with Jeffrey Epstein, Epstein Island. Then you had Celine Dion recently resurface, and we had already looked into Celine Dion and how she aged so quickly. And the look that she had in 2020, it led a lot of people to question some of her practices. And it didn't help that she had a clothing line for children that was very dark and disturbing. It was like some Balenciaga vibes, okay? So we have a lot going on in Canada, which helps us to understand why Canada now is so dystopian that they are offering suicide as an option. If some woman, she just called her medical provider and just wanted something like a walking assistant, like a cane or walker, and they offered her assisted suicide. Okay, so Canada has gone completely dystopian, and I know Klaus Schwab is very pleased with Trudeau, who likes to wear blackface. I have to say that. Okay, so we have also Biden and the Ukraine war. So you can see the meme here where for a minute they forgot about all the virus hysteria. So it was like as soon as the war started and they could do their money laundering, then it wasn't so much a big push for the virus obsession. They go back and forth, but they cooled it for a minute and stopped talking about it for a long time. They were only on the Ukraine. And then we saw Sean Penn take his crazy self over to the Ukraine to do a documentary. So this shows us right here, along with the stuff, like I said, that I'm learning that Kev Gills is helping to just clear up, is that we're dealing with theater. That's why they say theater of war. So Sean Penn pretty much like he solidified it because he headed over as soon as the war broke out, and he was doing a documentary. So there you are. This is what they've been doing through all history, modern history, when it comes to war. This is all theater and all kinds of craziness. So anyway, very interesting. Then we have the World Economic Forum, and we have Klaus Schwab. A lot of content creators talking about Klaus Schwab, and he's kind of this boogeyman, and I think he's a joke now. And I really believe that children of God should never show fear. When you hear about all the things that Klaus Schwab projects out into the world, and his henchman, that weird guy that is like his Igor sidekick. Yeah, he wears he looks like the dark, he looks like what? Darth Vader? This is a joke, everyone. I mean, he's a joke. I know that the things that he professes, it really disturbs people, but I want believers in God. I don't know what other people deal with, but I mean, if you are called by his name, okay, and you know that you're a child of God, Klaus Schwab should not put any fear or anything that the World Economic Forum is up to. because it's projection, and they want us to buy in and put confidence in their schemes. But we're in a different time where they are losing and losing the narrative so much, and they need to have us in mental shackles, and they're losing the ability to do it. So Klaus Schwab is a joke. And I did some content on him. I mean, when he talks, it sounds like I heard like circus music, and I put that in the background because that's what it is, circus. So, one of the things that I've seen some content creators circling back to is Gaddafi. So Gaddafi over in Libya, this is unfortunately one of the things that America is going to be a big circling back, and there's got to be some justice that's meted out for how our government used our tax dollars, and they have funded wars and destabilized countries like Libya, further causing human trafficking, the very thing that a lot of us have come together to, want to see ended. Well, what we did, and I say we because it was done in our name. So Hillary Clinton laughing about, killing Gaddafi, when she said, we came, we saw, he died. This is a person who has such a body count. And a lot of people really want to see justice. I mean, we hear things, but we want to see it. I know, I get it. Okay. So I'm right there. So then it comes down to, we've got Kamala over the year 2022, where she's talking to people like they're idiots. And it reminded me of Romper Room when she talks to people. It doesn't matter what age you are. It's this very condescending, crazy talk. And, I just made my meme when she said, so there's like a country called Ukraine, and they're small. And then there's like a country called Russia, and they're real big. Russia, the big country, invaded Ukraine, the small country. And that's pretty much like the way this person talks to people. So, real weird stuff. We watched that. And then Ye, formerly known as Kanye, he's been on my feed, you could see for a minute. And I was really observing how he was moving. And I just don't know, like I said, I'm still open to theories about Ye. I just know he's done something big in terms of taking the lid off of the conversation that was never supposed to be had. We can never talk about certain things, So he broke that, as they say, he broke through the Overton window. And it for me, it did a lot for me, I have to say personally. And it was interesting. What a bumpy ride. So we have Ye, where he was doing his church kind of thing. He's not doing that now. He's an interesting person, I'm telling you. It would be interesting to look back on some of the things that he's been up to. But we have this sort of Jesus imagery between him with the thorn crowns, and also you had that also imagery with Tupac. I'm just saying, very interesting. So we also have, oh my gosh, we have children of former Black Panthers. So we have the children who are basically activists, okay? And they get into Hollywood, and they've been trained by their parents, like who are former Black Panthers. And so they're doing activism. And that, that played out with Jussie Smollett, or I don't know, they joke around Jussie Smoothie. And so Jussie Smollett, Jussie did his thing where he, he's a joke now. And I don't know what is going on with him now, but you know the story. So that was interesting because his narrative blew up on him. And I said in this meme, like, if you have any of these corporate, entities backing your movement, I said, if transnational corporations are backing your movement, you're not the resistance. So we had a lot of these corporations in 2020. They went along with this narrative to scare people and to, we saw how they did better. They thrived economically in 2020 while small business crashed. And we saw how they all got onto an agenda, a woke agenda. They were bullying people. They were jumping on bandwagons, BLM and everything. And so now we see the enemy and how he works through corporations. So this was very eye-opening for me, at least. So another thing that I was new to this whole trend of looking at old decrepit homes. And I did a live stream on the material world. I used to love the police, so it was interesting to think about the material world. And I went to a video and we looked at it. If you were with me, it was a Disney family member that owned this home. It was so creepy, if you remember. And it showed that if someone is not living in a home for just, I think, is it 6 months, the home will begin to degrade. Like, the oxidation process will begin. Is it 6 months, everyone? Let me see if I wrote it here in my little thing. So, we were playing Cahoots. Remember we were playing Cahoots a few live streams? We had so much fun. Well, I had fun, at least. Okay, so the material world, and correct me if it's 6 months. If a house is sitting for 6 months and nobody is living there, you don't open windows or nothing, the house will start to break down. The paint will start to oxidize and peel from the walls. So this house was sitting for years, and it was really creepy because somebody said in the comment, I think it was in our chatmosphere, and it made me think. They were saying that the way the house was decorated and staged, it looked like it was a set for like snuff films. And I was just like, whoa. It did look that way because they had creepy toys and it was children's rooms. Like, it was really creepy. And again, this was a Disney family member, their home, just sitting and just creepy as all get out. So that was interesting. Now, this is when I'll say I began to pay attention to Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving had a dust up with Stephen A. Smith. So Stephen A. Smith is to me like a boule puppet. And I just wrote that these were like hermetic mystery plays because I'm not real sure right now about them. It looks like they are putting on a mystery play. And I told you all, it feels like I'm watching WWF sometimes because I believe that, like, now when I'm looking back on Kyrie, I've changed my position on Kyrie and maybe what he was doing, but I haven't really thought about it to get a real theory going. But it's interesting to see how they move. And again, they're part of the Black Boule. One day I'll talk more about the Black Boule in depth. I know Prime and we did a whole live stream about the Black Boule, and that was taken down. He was deplatformed. I was deplatformed. So maybe it would be interesting to circle back and do a thing on the Black Boule, right? And talk about some people that exposed the Black Boule very early on. And so I'm just saying that I'm not sure about Kyrie Irving right now. Hey there. Oh, Molly, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Molly. Yeah, so then let's see. You probably saw a lot of the things I broke down. I learned a lot about this dude. His name was Jack Parsons, remember? So Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard and the whole rocket and space, department and intelligence and all that, it all connects to Scientology. So not to get into a big discussion, they all overlap. So you have Aleister Crowley, you have L. Ron Hubbard of Scientology, and Jack Parsons, okay? And you get to see the agenda. Jack Parsons died in a very weird way, but they were into the occult very deeply. Like I said, Aleister Crowley was their mentor. So our early space program and at rockets, and if you live in California, you know about Pasadena and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. When I was a nurse in Pasadena, one of my jobs on the weekend, it was in Pasadena, like I said. So you had the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which Jack Parsons founded. I didn't know anything about Jack Parsons back then, but we used to get a lot of patients that would come, after having really bad nervous breakdowns that worked at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and just like stressed out to the max, and go into whatever school was out there too. Some kind of tech school too, if anybody knows what that college is out there. But those people, some of them have some pretty stressful, just lives, right? Rocket scientists, right? I don't know. You tell me. So then we had Will Smith pull a shenanigan, and Will Smith, slapping Chris Rock for the award show. So the Grammys, was that the Grammys? No, the Oscars. So Will Smith did his thing. He slapped. It was so stupid, right? So they were talking about that for a long time. Will Smith goes away. Now he's back playing in a slave movie called Emancipation, that I don't know who is still interested in looking at that crap about the lie of this whole slave trade. Now, slavery, the way that they portray it in Hollywood, is not, in fact, what I believe is the correct version of the enslavement, the genocide that happened on this soil. Okay. So they throw us off with this, slavery narrative. And every time you turn around, it's either Oprah, Steven Spielberg, or whatever. But now Will Smith has to do his part and spread the misinformation about slavery. But I think that Will Smith has been effectively neutered by his wife. That's my opinion. Okay, so we then go into the metaverse, and I shared my testimony of my metaverse experience. And the one thing that was interesting also about 2022 is that I was interested in the Georgia Guidestones. I was thinking about taking a trip with my buddy that we go on road trips sometimes. She's a nurse. I keep her private because she's an angel that does some great work, but she gets persecuted. Okay. She's hanging in there. So I don't mention her name, but one of my, best friends, nurses, we've taken trips and gone to like Trump rallies. Oops, I didn't mean to say that. Trump rallies. And we've gone, done things. So I was thinking, we were both talking about going over to see the Georgia Guidestones and just seeing what's up. But it just didn't happen. So I called a church because I figured, let me call a church and see what they think about these Georgia Guidestones. What do they look like? I didn't even know how big they were. And I called, and remember, I talked to the lady, and I asked the lady, could I record her? And she said, yes. So that's why I shared it with you all. And it was just interesting because she was like, no big deal. People make a big deal out of those stones. And it was so funny, right? She was real sweet. She invited me to come and visit. Maybe I'll go visit her. I don't know. But she just thought that it was just being, blown out of proportion. Right. Okay. So then I asked you all, did you want me to read one of my books that I bought a few years ago, How to Survive Anything? And you said yeah. So I talked about the grid going down. And it's been a lot of fear porn, I have to say, on both sides, right? So by now, I know you all thought you were going to be in a bunker somewhere. You probably ate all of your emergency food. Tell me the truth. Haven't you eaten all of your emergency food? So, people, I don't know. Okay. But if the grid goes down, I know some of you are going through whiteouts and all kinds of things with the snow. And a lot of us are willfully unprepared. That's what I will say. So it is very humbling to know how much we depend on the lizards, okay? So then we have the Kardashians are always on my news feed. Such foolishness. So anyway, went on through and I love this particular one where I took the mud flood journey over to Scotland, right? So the Isle of Tweed, no, is it called Tweed? The Sovereign's Orb and the Weavers of Tweed, the Isles of Scotland. So the Isle of Harris and Lewis, very fascinating. One of the things I loved about the Isle of Harris and Lewis was it was just a kind place to live. You could live off of the land, fishing villages and mushrooms growing everywhere. You could just, put some mushrooms in the skillet and just put a little butter. They had, eggs. People would just share their eggs, put them. They had a box on the side of one of the roads where someone would bring eggs and put them there. And it was just a honor system, So it was just nice to think about living in that way. And I will talk more about that in terms of moving forward. And one of the other things that happened in 2022 was Kevin Samuels died mysteriously. And I do mean mysteriously because I followed this narrative when Kevin Samuels died. If anybody knows or doesn't know about Kevin Samuels, he was a YouTuber. He was YouTube famous, and he was someone who gave advice to women mainly that would call in. And it was, a lot of people have opinions on both sides about Kevin Samuels. Some people felt that he was very cruel, that he did a lot of emotional damage to people. And then some people think that he was a hero. So it just depends on where how you view Kevin Samuels in the lens of history. But Kevin's death was very mysterious. And not to get into the narrative, but it was one of these deaths that we hear about constantly, where once you look into it, it doesn't make sense and they change the story over and over. Well, no different with Kevin Samuels passing. So Kevin Samuels was a man they called manosphere, red pill manosphere content. And women would call in and he would ask them, what is your dress size and how do you rank yourself as between 1 and 10? And some women called in and they cammed up and he would just have a blast, just roasting these people that called in. So it was quite a spectacle. And he was, getting millions of viewers. Like he'd do a live stream, it'd be like thousands of people. Camilla, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for hanging out today. D Wolf says he was right but tough. Okay, too tough for the wokies. Yeah. He did not put sugar in his medicine when he delivered it. So Kevin Samuels' death, what it showed me is that online you have citizen journalists, basically. You have citizen detectives, and I believe they're better than Scotland Yard. So people had already done an investigation on Kevin Samuels like narrative, and they already like they found the killer, they found the whole motive and everything. It's been very interesting, right? um yeah, Kevin did rather believe successful are allowed to cheat. Yeah, you're right, Joseph. He had content where he did say things to that degree where if a man is providing for a woman and he's totally doing like the protecting and the providing, Kevin Samuels just felt that if a man wanted to have other women on the side, it's none of the wife's business. It's his business. And he had some very progressive ideas, I'll say. But yeah, he's no longer here. And then Girl Code and I, remember we did the thing in Spain, Sentinel. Do you remember that? We did a tinfoil turban files on Spain. And that's when we went into the timeline, the weirdness going on with a timeline happening in Spain. Girl Code told me about this guy on TikTok, and he was living in 2023. So this is back in, this is 2022, right? Was that right, Girl Code? He was in 2023, right? So this was interesting because this time traveler in Spain, I found out that he was a media person. Remember that? It was fascinating. So he had a big media company over there in Spain. And I'd like to circle back to that, Girl Code, see what's going on in Spain with that so-called time traveler. Very interesting stuff. So then we got a little polar Arctic cold there. We got over to the Smoky God, and I learned about the Smoky God just researching the 1800s, and I read the entire book of the Smoky God. Very fascinating. It dealt with giants, and it was Inner Earth Agartha. So that was a very interesting story. Then went over to, the polar regions and the people of the Arctic Circle. And that was very interesting. Oh my goodness, I did a story on the woman. Unfortunately, mental health, the crisis we are facing right now with depression and suicide is very unfortunate. I have my beliefs on how we can remedy this problem, and the further we get away from truth and from what gives people meaning in their life, we're going to see this as a problem. But there is healing and there is good news. And, a lot of us will be a part of bringing this healing and helping the younger people. They really need us to stand for them because they're the ones that are suffering the worst with this. So this young woman, she was a Miss USA and, had everything you would think to make a person happy. Her name was Chesley Christ. And Chesley was a high functioning, high achiever. However, she was depressed but high functioning. And she worked as a commentator for one of the news programs. And yeah, she jumped from a building in New York City. Very tragic. I couldn't even get through my narration. My voice was breaking. Do you remember? My voice was breaking. It was so sad, because you could tell her pain and loneliness. So a lot of times we think success is bringing people fulfillment. And today, during one of my mindset calls with Chris, he was talking about fulfillment and, success versus fulfillment. And that's what we're seeing, people that on paper look very successful, but if it's not fulfilling them, then it's just an empty, just empty. And that's what a lot of people, especially young people, are facing. So we have to really got to fight for them. So started to get into more of the antiquitech. You remember the airships, and now I'm looking at airships in a different way. You know, we have airships and then we have airships. Karen is here. Greetings. Beautiful Harlem Sentinel. Thanks for coming by. Greetings to the chatmosphere. Yes, so we have airships. Let me write it in there because that's something that we have airships and airships. So I'm interested in this at this moment. Airships. Excuse me. Let me get some water. So then we get over to robots for grandmas. So they're targeting older people, and they had these assistants, these what really dystopian though. I didn't know about this product, but it's like a robot for your grandma who's lonely. So this was called what is it called? I forget the name of the robot now. I thought I put it in there, but people were laughing. Michelle said, I want one in the comments, but this robot is for lonely older people, targeted for them. And the robot talks to them and remembers like the history. They talk to the robot, and it's interesting. Very, very dystopic though. But that just shows how older people are seen in our culture, and for them to want older people to adopt having robot companions, that's just not something I see being sustainable. Phyllis says Robbie robot. Yeah, and I guess it's like we were conditioned to think about having robots when I think about it with the Jetsons, right? But I never knew they were going to do a robot for grandma. So that was quite weird. And let's see, what else do we have? So then we start getting into, more of the firmament and the shape of the earth. And I did something on Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden has such a messy background, just really like horrible. I didn't know he treated women so abusively, and baby daddy, has a kid by a stripper named Dallas, or how Paul Romano says that is always hilarious. So then we get into, I was interested in the steam engines, so the vapor, the ether, electricity, and stuff like that. So then I stumble across Jason Brashears of Archaics. And that was a very powerful, just a conversation. It was a lot of fun. Jason Brashears, he really brought it, and it was just really great. So that was something that happened this summer, and a lot of us are still hanging out with each other, the Archaics group. So that was fun. And then I did a little nod to I called them the tinfoil turban vaults. So all the guys, the dudes that influenced me over the years, I talked about that. And I give credit to them. I know that people talk about Alex Jones being controlled, controlled opposition, and that could be true. I just wanted to give credit to people that even if it was through misinformation, they woke me up at least and started me researching. So yeah, Alex Jones can be a debatable thing, but I highlighted him. And if you listen to Coast with Art Bell, if you remember him, I even threw in who else? Hal Lindsey, because of the late great Planet Earth, and Carl Sagan, which I definitely don't believe now. He pushes evolution and all kinds of stuff like that. Then you have Richard Pryor. He did a lot of like waking up. You had Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney, amazing with the information. He talked a lot about Hollywood. He was one of the earlier voices telling about the satanic practices in Hollywood. So that would be Paul Mooney. And you know, he was a writer for Richard Pryor. So, and also he was a writer for Dave Chappelle. So we had George Norrie, Alex Jones, David Icke. Had to apologize to David Icke, right? He was right about a lot of stuff. We weren't ready. I wasn't ready for David Icke back in the day. So yeah, I just gave a little nod to them. And just going through. Oh, this was interesting, y'all. So let's see. Kind of going up into July, we had a weird thing happen. So we had the America's Stonehenge. I said, well, this has happened to what they are calling America's Stonehenge. As janky as that sounds, the Georgia Guidestones have been blasted, and one of the pillars is now rubble, as in Barney rubble. I said, this janky ghetto monument is supposed to be an astronomical calendar that every day at 12 noon, the sun shines through a narrow hole and illuminates the day's date on an engraving. And I just said, cool story, bro. Engraved stone pillars with 4 ancient languages: Babylonian cuneiform, Classic Greek, Sanskrit, Egyptian hieroglyphics. I said, between this and CERN opening more portals, what say you? And Joseph, he answered, he said, I watched a news clip and the reporter's name was Destiny. Yep, it's definitely Destiny. What their stone with their nefarious plans written on it should blow up at this time. Joseph said, poetic justice. And Tina said, I'll say divine intervention on that and praying the same for CERN. So, yeah, out of nowhere, we wake up to news that the Georgia Guidestones had blown up. So that was strange. And, you know, a lot of us, we don't know what it was, but I just created some, you know, like Pebbles and Bam Bam stuff and just had fun. And then I don't know, I had Jimmy JJ Walker saying it's dynamite. So that was a crazy thing. I don't know what to make of it, but yeah, good riddance. And then we started to see something going on in Sri Lanka. So some of these places are probably going to come back into the, you know, discussion, but the Sri Lankan government, the government officials started fleeing the country because the people rose up and they did what we're supposed to do with a government out of control. They physically chased them out of the country. They took over. I'm not going to say what they did was right, but they pretty much turned the castle and the palace into a party zone. They were jumping off of porches into the pool. Yeah, they had a lot of fun. So that was interesting. I don't know what Sri Lanka is up to right now, but the government fell. And hopefully the people had something in place. And that's what, you know, a lot of times we want things like that to happen, but are we prepared to, you know, have something in its place? So then we had, let's see. Oh, Super Sly came and chatted with us. That was awesome. And we were talking about spheres, and he has such a wealth of knowledge and his background is fascinating. So Super Sly is one of the brothers I learned so much from. And that was so nice that he, hung out and had a conversation. So that was 2020. And what else? Oh, I basically read the Ten Commandments. So that's the basis of our law. And it is they call it the Decalogue. So the Decalogue is in stone, many places, and of course they find a problem with having that outside of our courthouses and our schools, and we can see why. This is why we are now experiencing a clown world, is we got away from the foundations of our nation. So we need to make the 10 commandments great again. Okay, the children need to know, yeah, these are not suggestions, these are commandments. And Disney, of course, and the unfortunate thing with children and Disney came up. I stay on the subject of Dr. Timothy Jarrell Cunningham because I'm very disappointed that the Black community, so called, it's just no concern about this man who he did everything in society that you're supposed to do, right? He graduated from Morehouse College, HBCU. He graduated then from Harvard. He was a Navy officer and worked for the CDC. His death is a mystery. This man was a hero, and he was warning us about the pandemic that was about to come, as well as he talked about the injuries with the jabs, the concern that he was seeing with the flu jabs, and some very strange things happening. So I am very disappointed that his name isn't important. His life doesn't matter to the people that they're always talking about Black Lives Mattering. Why doesn't Dr. Timothy Jarrell Cunningham's life matter? Because he's a real American hero. So anyway, I'm going to never stop talking about him. And then we got into, they started the climate hysteria. So we learned that they had a site to teach, the whole propaganda about the climate stuff, the sky is falling, and just all the foolishness around that. Then we had this minister, pastor, bishop, Pookie. I call him Bishop Pookie. This is just to show where the church in America is at this time, where we are spiritually. We have pastors that are such clowns. This man is Gucci from head to toe. He probably was wearing Balenciaga. Now he's in jail. It's such a joke. And the church in America, it's just sad because this is what people think of it. And, he's a representation of it. And, we have blind guides, and these men are just, they've become enriched. Meanwhile, the social and moral fabric of America has become so degraded. And this is a direct correlation to the health of the nation from the church, from the pulpit. So then I started to do some station head broadcasts. I had a lot of technical problems. Girl Code, however, told me that it came across pretty well when I was doing some of them. So I'm going to look back into it because I would like to do that again. But just know I was having so many technical problems and my own, devices and stuff. So that was fun while it lasted. And what else did we do? Just scrolling on up. Lots of music. I read Acres of Diamonds for anybody if you want to go through the old channel. Acres of Diamonds was a lecture by the founder of Temple University. And it's very interesting from the 1800s. Okay. So we have that. And we learn that Beverly Hills has a crime spree going on, which is ironic. So Beverly Hills is like Gotham City West. There is a crime wave going on. So the rich people who vote for all of this, degradation, it is coming to their own steps. Okay. And they are reaping a bad harvest. So they thought it would just stay on Skid Row and not mess with them. No. So then we talked about the inventor. He invented a version of a hydrogen automobile. So this gentleman by the name of, what is his name? Oh boy. I didn't write his name down. Oh, well, the gentleman here in the picture, he was an inventor that was working on hydrogen automobile. What's interesting about the narrative is that he contacted the guy from Shark Tank, the Damon John, and he, I think, went on a few podcasts because he was just really excited about his invention. And I think that he was about to register it with, the Department of Trademark, and he suddenly died. Right? He was working as a guard, I believe, in a supermarket upstate New York, and there was a shootout, and he died. So everybody, there you are. He was about to get the stuff registered, and conveniently, he's not here. Phyllis, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we see how scared they are of open source and energy, fuel and energy. And I did a thing where I was talking about how obsessed, I used some like music, the obsession that the heathen has with Trump. They still rage and obsess over Trump. It's so unhealthy. It's like the people are so broken mentally because it's on their mind. He lives in, and the mainstream media has gone so far. They are just, it is like, it's so yucky and icky if you listen to it, because it's lunacy to be so obsessed with someone. So they continue on their narratives of January 6th and this and the other, and it's really sick. So then we went to Gary, Indiana. Remember, I was talking about Gary, Indiana, and Portal to Hell, which was fascinating. And when I talked about it, I had the biggest glitch technology wise. So that was crazy. Then let's see. Facebook blocks the hashtag died suddenly. So that was in August. Died suddenly is blocked from Facebook, at least. Okay. So that was something. And then we heard about these goofballs that they were going to hire at the IRS as a force with pow pows. So they're supposed to be hiring 87,000 new IRS agents to come after freedom-loving people. So with the current state of young people that they would try to recruit, it makes it really hard to imagine that they would have 87,000 people that would be able to pass all of the everything you would have to do for employment screening. So that's a joke. Then we have Joe Biden, and he's just as creepy as ever. His new normal. And this was what I said right here when they started trying to scare us with the IRS agents. This woman comes to mind, and this is how we should look at them. No fear, because God is in control. And we just need to remind ourselves of that. So then we started seeing the first of the immigrants being bused up to New York. So you have the mayor, and he's catching it, Eric, up there. And they started sending the buses of all the migrants that are coming into the country illegally. They're busting into the country, and Texas got tired of it, so they started sending them to the sanctuaries that vote for this stuff. So we got to see the hypocrisy, and a lot of corporations are crashing, like Six Flags and a lot of these places. So just a lot of weirdness going on. Then we had Kanye with his fashions and Gap and looking like trash bag fashion. And I'm wondering if Kanye was doing that on purpose now so he could get out of all those contracts, right? So that. And moving on, Dr. Fauci and the puppies, the beagles. We found out about Fauci and the beagles. This guy is the worst, the absolute worst. And what else? So we had the weirdness with more of the same, right? I'm just going through. The Man in the High Castle. A lot of us started to watch that. Then we had the quiet quitting movement. They talked about how a lot of employees are basically quitting quietly. So we don't have a lot of people that are dialed in to their jobs right now because they're not fulfilling. And basically, people saw how tyrannical things got in 2022. So they're mentally checked out. So it makes you wonder the quality of everything here in a little bit. Now, there was a movie that a foreign filmmaker made about the Hunter Biden laptop. So this came out, and I don't know how much traction, but it was released in September, if you recall. And then Tiffany Haddish and Ari Spears. Now, I want to talk about this because I think it's very important. Tiffany Haddish and Ari Spears, they did some, I guess, skits, as they called it, involving children. And it was horrible. Now, Tiffany Haddish, her star was on the rise. She's a comedian, they say. I don't find her funny. And they tried to say that these skits involving the children were supposed to be comedy. So that was like a real wake-up call to people that didn't necessarily believe maybe that this stuff is happening. So it was pretty shocking. And it shows that people are not going to give a pass to pedophilia. That is not going to be considered a lifestyle alternative. And the people are not going to give any amnesty to pedophiles. And I think they're getting the message pretty loud and clear. But this was an early thing that happened in 2022 where Ari Spears and Tiffany Haddish, I don't know what they're doing right now, but I bet they can't just walk around and get the same kind of treatment that they got. And that's going to happen for people when they are exposed for being pedophiles. They're not going to enjoy society where people are going to celebrate them. They are going to have their head down in shame, if not in jail, with a millstone around their necks. And other people have other justice for, actually, prison has the best justice for pedophiles. So that's what I would wish for any and all of them. So then we have the money train with this guy in Ukraine. He works with his stilettos and they make it rain on him. So this is what's happening. It's just one big criminal enterprise over in Ukraine. And you still have people that support it. They have the Ukraine flag in their, profiles. And it just shows that some people are never going to want to know truth. They love government, they love corruption, and actually they have a reprobate mind. That's what's going on. So we had energy tourism coming out of England. So they were manipulating energy, and the people, they were trying to say they're going to have a terrible winter and freeze. So that's what they want to have, the fear and everything over that. So the Kardashians continue to be a narrative, unfortunately. So then we had another visitor, and it was wonderful to talk to one of my friends that stopped by to chat. And we were talking about agritourism. So that was interesting. And then I listened in, where some of you did too, to a 9/11 call where they were intertwining COVID-19 and 9/11 and just exposing a lot. And that was really good. So Richard and Gail Gage, if you ever wanted to check out the 9/11, the work that they're doing to get justice. And then we had something funny happen where, well, not funny, but very, I'll say, enlightening, where Martha's Vineyard received migrants and they couldn't handle it for even a day, hardly. So we got to see the hypocrisy. Then we started seeing things like this Philadelphia drag queen 25 collapses on stage and dies suddenly. So hashtag died suddenly. Lots of died suddenlies. So let's see. Then I invited a sister to come on to talk about her beloved sister who died of fentanyl overdose. And this was a crime. This woman had no idea she was ingesting deadly fentanyl. She just needed a pill, and her friend provided her with a pill that had fentanyl, and she died. So this fentanyl that's coming across the open borders doesn't seem to be a problem to the people that have a reprobate mind. So we saw Stacey Abrams. She lost, so she will not be the governor of the state of Georgia. And hopefully she'll go away and go away because she's not wanted. So, like I said, the Book of Enoch, if you wanted to listen in. And again, they're doing a lot of like testing the waters with us. So Capri Sun had an ad in which they, had sexual themes, and they think this is cute and funny again. So this seems to be how the pedophiles test the waters, by saying it's a joke. Oh, this is a joke. And it's not funny, and we're not laughing. So this was something that Capri Sun did, and I wrote them a letter. I shared the template if anybody wanted to use it and also write them. One thing that I do like, I took a poll to see how many people thought this was okay. And I'll tell you this, 93% of you said, no, it's not okay. So my little test was good. I'm glad that this was not okay with you. So coming on up, I observed some of the high holy days. So I shared that, the Feast of Tabernacles, and learning about estate planning and all of that. You all know that I always invite you, if you want to talk about things like that, complimentary consultations still available to you. So you know to hit me up. So we got to see what I called London bridges. A lot of you called London bridges falling down, where we had, the fallout from the, the death of the Queen, right? And we had the woman who stepped up for just a moment leading England, and Liz Truss, she stepped down as quickly as she stepped up. So that was weird. Then we had a nice visitor also. We had the beautiful sister, and Amelia shared her amazing products that she sold. And I love it because that support, and it's going to be wonderful for our local economies to support people that are making products. To make products yourself, some things we don't need to depend on the big companies. So then moving up to where we kind of getting closer to now, Elon Musk really shook it up and bought Twitter. So Elon, being a super troll, he came in with a sing in the whole dramatic, theatrics. So he was saying, let that sink in. So he came into Twitter's headquarters in San Francisco, and he's of the big heads over there. And one of them was Vijaya Gadde, which she has become such a villain. And these are the heathens that do not want free speech for us. And they have been complicit with the FBI and all the alphabet people to work against us. So this is part of the crafty council that the invaders take part in. So then again, Kyrie Irving and the anti-Semitism whole, just psyop, I'll call it, and disinformation, and the ADL and all their threats, and how they take money away from people if you don't. It's basically extortion, and they have gone too far, and they've turned a lot of people against them. And that's the very truth of it all. Like I said, I was one of the biggest friends to Israel and the people, and what I have witnessed recently this year has turned me completely against. And I mean that. They will never, ever be able to turn me back to them for what I have witnessed. So that was an interesting thing that arose from this. And, just learning some of the things, like when we talk about the Music Trust and Scott Joplin and some of the things that happened to him, horrible crime happened to him, along with people like Sam Cooke. Who else? Like Prince, Michael Jackson, Ye, and we could keep naming more. Okay, Sly and the Family Stone, all of that. So then we come up to people that were fired and lost their job because they take mental bio weapon. So now we're seeing that things are turning around for some people. New York, at least, they offered people to come back to work that they fired, and they were giving back pay. So there are lawsuits that are starting to form, and there's a lot of lawsuits. And I want to encourage you, get to suing, everybody. If you have a lawsuit, share with me. I want to celebrate your success. So it is time to start suing people into oblivion, everyone. It is time. So Godspeed. Then we have, they wanted to have amnesty for, they call it pandemic amnesty. Atlantic article in November. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty. We need to forgive one another for what we did and said when we were in the dark about cocoa virus. So they want amnesty. It was the most challenging period of time for those who stood 10 toes down and took the losses for not succumbing to fear and having faith in God providing. Let the lawsuits begin. Many nurses are, as many are already winning lawsuits. Like I said, we were called crazy conspiracy theorists, and now the name calling has stopped as the truth is marching on. The Supreme Court needs to be hopping with lawsuits. So we should see that happening. And then coming up to, an interesting thing that I didn't know is that Sears and Roebuck is going out of business in a lot of places. And the founder, his name was Julius Rosenwald. Again, Julius Rosenwald. He funded out of the Rosenwald Fund the Tuskegee experiments. So Sears, you think about Sears, and who knew that they funded the Tuskegee experiments? So this is how close to home a lot of truth is going to start hitting. So the final Tuskegee experiment was ended in the 70s. So just know that the Tuskegee experiments was not that long ago, if it stopped in the 70s. So there are some really fresh crimes we should have learned from. A lot of so-called Black people should have been very suspicious of the thing that they were forcing on people. Now they're saying they weren't forcing it. That's what narcissists that have like I said, this is the mind of these people. They are reprobate. This is a real example of reprobate minds. They are cruel, abusive, and narcissistic to the bone. And basically, we're watching it play out. These people have no shame. No shame. Let me see here. Okay, so the window popped out on me again. I don't know why it does this. All right. So, what else did we see here? Hey, Shawnee, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Then, moving on to then we started seeing cases of myocarditis being reported. So now this is something that unfortunately the fallout and the gaslighting is unreal. So we'll continue to monitor this unfortunate, harvest, I'll say, and pray earnestly be there for people as they would need and provide them information that maybe they didn't want to hear before, but maybe they're open to it now. We'll see. But that's one of the things that is happening, right? So then we started seeing oh, by the way, this case is interesting because it's becoming a cold case. If you've been following the thing with the Shanquella, reminds me of the Kanika thing that happened. These with the DJ Twitch boss. These cases, these narratives are very similar. They do a trauma on the people, and then there's no justice, and then it grows cold, and there's just a lot of lying. But that's also something that they can't do as easy because the people are waking up, and you have people that get together as citizens and they do investigative journalism, and they do a better job than the FBI. Okay. So they have made it so these cases are not just going to be brushed under the rug because content is being created and people are not shutting up. So a lot is being revealed with this particular case, and it reminds me of a lot of them. And so we'll see what happens with the with these cases going forward. So then we have Twitter Spaces now opening up to a lot of us. And I would just tell you that if you are interested in checking out a Twitter Space, they are very, very interesting when I catch them because it's not so much an echo chamber, but you hear from a lot of different people. So I have been really enjoying learning, just listening and learning from people. And so that's something. And one of the things that came out of the actually when Elon took over Twitter is that Elon has answered somebody who wanted to know what else. Let's see. I'll just read the tweet. It deals with the election in Brazil. So a man named Avi Amini, he said, "Hey, Elon Musk, can you find out what other elections were handled by the former Twitter regime? Thank you, the rest of the world." And Elon responded, "I've seen a lot of concerning tweets about the recent Brazilian election. If those tweets are accurate, it's possible that Twitter personnel gave preference to left-wing candidates." So they did the same. They call the guy over in Brazil, they call him Tropical Trump in their election. So that came out, and it's just going to be interesting to see what is going to happen ultimately with the stuff that's been going on with elections all over the world, because it's not just us. It's many nations are dealing with this stuff. And some people are just not taking it. They're just not. So we're going to, keep our eyes on Brazil, Sri Lanka, and all of that. So then we had more of Elon Musk and his wanting to go to Mars, chips in the head. Like I said, I'm not worried about Elon putting no chip in my head. I'm not going to buy into any fear that he's the Antichrist and all that. I'm not, okay? I'm just not. I don't know about you, but I'm not afraid of Elon. So then we see very strange dystopian, controlling and manipulating of children's medicine supplies on our shelves. And we saw it with the baby formula. So it's a lot of sickness that they target children. So then we got to see Elon make a really crazy tweet about his pronouns being prosecute Fauci. So Robert Kennedy Jr. gave him kudos for not, for looking beyond the propaganda. So that was an interesting exchange. And then we had retired Navy SEAL Chris Beck, who came out as trans. He's denouncing it and wanting to detransition because it destroyed his life. And, I wrote this meme here that, I stand by this. And I said, take a mental note of all those having hissy fit tantrums and leaving Twitter as the child pornography on the platform is being exposed and eliminated. So they, got to see them freaking out over that. And, recently I made this connection to Amy Robach and this, distraction going on with her running around with her coworker. Amy was caught on a hot mic by a coworker, and somehow this leaked to Project Veritas. But Amy was talking about Jeffrey Epstein and having all these receipts on Bill Clinton and many people involved in the Epstein Island human trafficking. And I just have a theory that some of this stuff going on with Amy has something to do with this. So, I haven't worked out the theory, but it's just strange how this affair is dominating, the headlines still. Then we had the Gucci heiress, Alexandra Zarini, come out and talk about the abuse that was perpetuated towards her as a child and how her family didn't protect her. But also, this woman knows a lot about the fashion industry and the abuse of children. So we're seeing that fashion is beginning to fall because this is an industry of human trafficking, child abuse, and exploitation. And the various fashion houses under the Caring Group include Gucci. So if you are a fashion person, we're all having to reevaluate our support of things. And one of the main things is fashion. So you can clump fashion in with Hollywood. And it's terrible. So the Caring Group is something to look into, which includes Gucci, Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, Saint Laurent, and also Alexander McQueen. So a lot of ghoulish behavior. Salma Hayek's husband, a Frenchman, and this stylist that was with the Balenciaga group, very, very disturbing. So another thing that happened that we were asking for, we wanted to know the truth about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Now, it's come out, but it came out at a time when a lot of us are weary, we're distracted, and I don't know how you feel. Now we know the truth. The CIA assassinated President John F. Kennedy. Now that we know that, what is it going to do? What's it going to change? Do you feel good about the fact that now we know it's been confirmed? No need to call people conspiracy theorists. But also at the same time, President Kennedy, he promised, okay, let me just read my post. I said, well, nestled in the swirl of revelations and receipts that dropped that the CIA assassinated President John F. Kennedy, Were we ready for that truth, or are we too weary to care? Anyone that questioned the narrative of his death was called a conspiracy theorist. In fact, that was the advent of using that term as manipulation and suppression of free speech. This war is for the sturdy. I've researched the Kennedy family back in 2020. I was blessed to have RFK Jr. encourage me to continue to fight the forces of evil when it comes to vaccine tyranny. That was back in 2014 when he contacted me. It's been an honor, Mr. Kennedy, to be a small voice up in these streets to whosoever. President Kennedy had some strong enemies, like Nip said. And he vowed to splinter the CIA in 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. May we repent as a nation and adorn ourselves in sackcloth and ashes, crying out to Jah to utterly destroy every alphabet agency and confederacy of enemies, foreign and domestic. Save children and free all enslaved people. So another thing is that there was something strange that happened in Italy with a float, and I shared it on we talked about it. We had this already. So this is just a review. So we had the weird Statue of Liberty thing. It was weird, and it made me wonder what is going on with the imagery here and the messaging. And Kanita was a guest, and she shared some ideas that going on. You have the influencer flu. You have influencers that are dropping like flies, as Paul says, and it's either suicide or hashtag died suddenly. So we're seeing that happening. It made me circle back to Wendy Williams again when she did the falling down as the Statue of Liberty. Very interesting, just looking at what's happened to her life. And you just, all these people just look like actors, of course, and they're just pulling off these roles, these psyops or whatever. And then we had the Statue of Liberty coin. I shared what happened in 1792, all the things that happened in that year. I want to have these noble conversations with, we're creating a roundtable discussion, and we'll share that soon. So that has been 2022 in a little bit of a wrap up. Has anything happened in 2022 for you that has been really big? Put it in the chatmosphere, please. Let me know if it's something that I didn't cover that you feel was very transformative. Let me know. What's up, Juan? How you doing, Juan? What's up? Belinda, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. That was, yeah, okay. I hear you. Yeah, so I recently saw, and I wanted to share this with you. Okay, hey there. I wanted to share a little bit of Paul Romano before I end this live stream. This has been a long live stream, but it was something, like I said, Paul Romano, he helps distill a lot of these truths in a funny way, and I just appreciate it a lot. And let's see. So this involves Kim Kardashian. And the reason I know, you're tired of hearing about her. However, we allowed this. Okay, this is on our watch. We allowed this to happen, but we're watching the downfall of the Kardashians. This is how I see it. The other day, Kim Kardashian did an interview on Angie Martinez, her podcast. If you know Angie Martinez, she's a big radio personality out of New York. And she's been around, she's very just well known in the industry. So Angie did this interview where she went out to California, or maybe that's where Angie lives. I'm just assuming she was in New York. But anyway, she was in Kim Kardashian's office, and she conducted an interview. So Paul Romano talked about it a bit. And the part that I want to show you is that when you think about a media machine, I heard that the Kardashians had a powerful media machine, but I don't think I really truly understood. And that's why I want to show you the grasp, the reach of this family. And how did this happen? Because this is a family who basically, they're like Valley girls. I might sound like a Valley girl, but they talk, like the Valley girl. If you're old enough to know the Valley girl reference, the Valley out in California, the people that live in the Valley, they have this affectation, they talk in a certain way, like the Kardashians. So this is like how Paul said, like this Valley girl, basically, she found a way to monetize. Her and her mother plotted to monetize a pornography tape. They call it a sex tape, but this is pornography. And her mother, was a part of this. And it's something that just is unthinkable. But yeah, Bruce was a humiliation. That's interesting. Yeah, all the men that are surrounded, that surround these women and what happens to them. But these are spells, the Kardashians, who I think Ray J said that Kim Kardashian she represents everything that's wrong in our society. Now, she took the body of a Black woman, basically, the butt, the derriere, and turned that into just a tool, something that she can take, and she could take it off, she could put it on like it's a costume. And that's why she's been accused of cultural appropriation and everything over the years. I don't get too much into that because I know people have opinions on both sides, but I'll just say that I know that the plastic surgery, the whole the trend, Kim Kardashian has been a very negative effect. Like, she's brought a negativity to our society. A lot of women, and young women especially, they suffer behind what this family has done to beauty standards. And the thing is that this woman, Kim Kardashian, she wanted to be famous. Like, it did any way, anything she had to do, she just wanted fame and fortune. And that in itself is going to create a problem, because anything that she creates and puts out into our society is going to be trash. It's going to be toxic and negative, because she did not want to serve society. She didn't want to create something that would elevate society. She didn't want to create art or literature or anything that would elevate the consciousness. But she wanted people to look at a derriere and to be attracted to the behind. And, everything about the hourglass shape of a body. But it's based on, and let's be truthful, it's based on the body of the Negro woman. And if you didn't know, Kim Kardashian and her family have stolen a lot from Black women, like small companies, like Black women who create fashions and they're just small on Instagram doing, little business. They have bought the clothing and basically copied it just verbatim and sold it. And they've done this so many times. They stay in court. They have powerful lawyers. They intimidate people. This is a very wicked family. And I didn't know just the extent of their wickedness, but it's something that they have to be stopped. I mean, this, I believe, is the downfall. I said the downfall of the Babylonian 304 gold digger. So if gold digging was a thing to aspire to and being a Babylonian 304, this is not the age and the day to do this. So Kim Kardashian will serve as the blueprint and also a cautionary tale, because she doesn't get to ride off into the sunset and live a comfortable life because she has done negative things. And she did this interview with Angie Martinez as a way to damage control her brand, because this Balenciaga thing is not going away. It's not. So I see it as the spells are breaking and the jig is up, and we are waking up to the things that they are doing. I looked at the comment section, and Angie Martinez is on her podcast, and a lot of people still worship the Kardashians and they could do no wrong. And they felt sorry for Kim because what she does is she does this. She cries. So her crying, and it's done on, like, I don't know, she just does it on cue. And it's worked for her. And I don't know. It seems that it's not working. It's not going to work anymore, the crying. So I want to play, like I said, this little clip from Paul Romano, and it'll give you an idea of their media power, unbelievable media power. So media is something that we have to reevaluate, and there should never be a family that has this kind of power. So I'm going to play this. I think I set it up for us. Thank you for joining. If you've been hanging out this long, I didn't know I'd be talking this long, but it is a wrap up. So shout out to Paul Romano. Thank you for always teaching and entertaining us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to really feel that way.
Feel that way.
I mean, I feel like a little bit of separation.
Separation. That's how I talk. I'm from the Valley.
I filed for divorce like 2 years ago. So I started to slowly feel that separation.
That separation. I felt that separation. You do not have the separation 2 years.
But
talking about butts.
I think that will always follow me.
I think you're so
we know
just about it. I'll be honest. I think you.
Let's play that clip again. This last one. She says, the interviewer says, I think you're being really gracious about this. I'll be honest. Right. And, this is another, whenever you say that means you're a liar the rest of the time. Right. Whenever you have to tell people you're telling the truth, that means, you're lying the rest of the time. Oh, I'll be honest. I think you're so gracious. And then Kim Kardashian goes, thank you. Right? Let's watch that. That's great.
I'll be honest. I think you.
Thank you. Definitely protected him.
She's going to protect him. I protect him. I'm very protective. I'm not protecting him right now by crapping all over him and talking about him like he's an evil person and I'm so good and I'm going to take the high road because he's going to take the low road and everyone's going to say it. Remember that? So here was something. Taking the high road in co-parenting. There's nothing that's a fact. And this is from Kim Kardashian says she tries to take the high. So she's taken the high E Online, Rolling Stone, In Style, USA Magazine, Cosmopolitan Media, and about pretending news, Fox News, Yahoo. This was something else I covered. She did an interview with Ellen, and everyone was talking about how this was the bumper sticker. I mean, the bumper sticker mentality.
Well, I'll stop the screen here. And I think the point was made, okay? And Paul does a good job, like I said. What I wanted to show is that if you look at every article and see, if you've ever written, I used to write a little bit of freelance, like just a little side job. I would write little freelance articles, and it's just freelance sites if you wanted to write, and they'll give you a topic and you do the research and you write it up, and they tell you how many paragraphs they want and everything. So they pay people like pennies, to do this kind of stuff. So a family like the Kardashians will create all of this press releases, and it's all the same thing. Kim Kardashian takes the high road, and it'll be in every publication at the same time. So what that does to the mentality of they've been able to push narratives doing this. It's like mob journalism, mob whatever, press releases. So this is what they're doing now with this Angie Martinez video or interview. They have this soundbite, like he said, bumper sticker, Kim Kardashian takes the high road, or whatever this new thing is that they're saying after the Angie Martinez interview. But the problem is this: people are not going to give a pass for the Balenciaga thing. And she doesn't sound like she has really truly separated from Balenciaga. There should be no excuse. She can't it's not acceptable for her to work with them anymore. She should burn bridges, be very vocal and strong, but we're not seeing that. She's compromised. She gave a very soft, if they clean it up. No, they can't clean that up because they knew what they were doing. And she tried to feign ignorance, I didn't know they were doing. She knows before we know things. How would she not know that? And she's the representative of this fashion line. She tried to say, well, I wasn't in the campaign. It doesn't matter, Kim. Her own daughter was in a GIMP mask for Paris Fashion Week. So this is a family that they've been able to gaslight, but now it's the spells are breaking. And the whole media machine, people don't trust media anymore. They trust the everyday citizen journalist to at least have the courage to talk about things that are not mainstream, to have the courage to look into something and to denounce child exploitation and abuse. There's no room for it. Not any room at all. So Kim Kardashian is going to see a downfall because she has time, though. She does have time. Maybe she might see the light and do the right thing. We could only hope. But she has to be very, I mean, it can't be any compromise with this. Because this is horrible, what has happened and what has been revealed about the fashion industry. It needs to be denounced. It needs to all fall down. All of it. So somebody said TikTok has more truth. Exactly. TikTok has more truth, right? So I know it's a Jeannie's thing, but someone says she's got bills to pay. Yeah, she's got a lot of bills to pay. That type of lifestyle, it requires a lot of upkeep. So because, like I said, she wanted fame and fortune at any cost, well, the cost is your moral integrity, your soul, as they say. And if money is that important, as they say it says in the scripture, their money will be evaporated in a moment. Those people that are high in the world with the wealth that looks like it can never go anywhere, it will be gone in a minute. In a minute. So they have a short time that they get to enjoy it. It's all for a short time. So, you know, Kim could enjoy it for the last minutes of it, but she has time to redeem herself, I'll say. And again, I would be happy if she did. I would celebrate her if she turned around and repented for this stuff and became a force and a voice for honor and for decency. So we'll see. And guess that's what I wanted to share for now. I will be doing more live streams because there's some stuff I wanted to share that I won't do it here because we've been going for a while. So let me see what you all are. Yeah, eternity is a long time. It really is. DeWolf says, nah, she a confirmed witch. She's not repenting. Yeah, I know a lot of people think that. I think I'm just a sucker, right? I just hold out hope for people. I'm like, come on, Kim. Come on, you can do it. We'll see. We will see. But let's see. What else? That's it for now. 2022. What do you think? What do you say about it? Did I miss anything? Our Groovy Garden, you're here. Welcome. Stephen, Anna, blessings. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Anna and Steve, bless you. Love you all. That's right. That's it right there. PH Joy, gaining the world, but losing your soul. So not worth it. And let me tell you, there is a healing balm in Gilead. There is a healing balm. And for those that are suffering so much, you know, our young people, like I said, we owe it to them to stand up for things that are, they need righteousness. They need people to show them the way. Lighthouses, okay? And if we don't do it, if we're cowardly, what hope do they have? Because they're being hunted. They're being hunted. And I pray that more of us will stand up and fight for them, fight for righteousness. And again, it's like us turning to the balm of Gilead, pointing them to Jesus Christ, the healer. And hopefully I won't get in trouble for this, but we'll see. I wanted to share something. I've been listening to it all morning, so maybe you can listen to it too. The words are so beautiful. So let's see. We'll see. There is a balm in Gilead. Truth, right? Truth. Truth will set them free. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. Powerful, right? I've been listening to it all day, all morning. So there is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole and to heal the sin-sick soul. And we have to keep bringing truth We have to, this, like I said, this war is for the sturdy. If you feel that you're getting weary, just, cry out to God for strength, because he'll give it. Okay. So just know that it's glory to glory. You don't have to worry about far into the future. Just take it glory to glory. And I will continue to, like I said, hold a space for us. And as we look back on this year, just to have a retrospective of what's happened, and to also look forward and to ask for the grace and the mercy to be not just thrive like survivors, but to thrive, as our Father prepares a table in front of our enemies, in front of Klaus Schwab, in front of Bill Gates. They will be confounded as to how we are thriving as they are creating chaos. But there is a balm in Gilead. Okay, so just know. All right, I love you all. Thank you for joining. This has been a long live, but that's okay. I hope I've been able to be in the background. If you're cleaning still, who's still sweeping? I guess Joseph probably cleaned his whole house. But thank you again for joining. And if I haven't gotten to your comments, just know I love you. I'll see you in the comments section. And we're on the 28th. So we only have a couple more days? How many more days? Is this a 30 or 31? I should know that. But we're going to talk more about, yes, 31. So the 1st of January is Sunday. All right. So blessings. All right. Love you. Take good care. I'll see you soon. All right.